Explain this better than I did. Best one gets pinned.
But what does that have to do with this?
What? Learn from each other? I've learned that from you, haven't I?
Are we really bad at this game?
This was supposed to be the dream romance everyone envied. The golden boy of a legendary football empire and a billionaire heiress straight out of a fairy tale. A wedding so over the top that the whole world tuned in, expecting perfection. But behind those designer gowns, private jets, and flawless Instagram filters, something deep was cracking for years. And now, Brooklyn Beckham has blown it all up in public. No more pretending, no more polite smiles, just raw chaos spilling out for everyone to see. What started as quiet gossip about wedding drama has now exploded into one of the wildest celebrity family feuds we've seen in years. And for the first time, Brooklyn and Nicola Peltz aren't hiding or backing down. They're standing their ground loud and clear.
Yeah, you didn't get along.
Yeah, we didn't get along, but I always thought she was really beautiful, and I think she thought I was handsome. And we didn't really talk. And then, 6 years ago, I came to LA for Halloween, and we started talking at a party, and that's kind of when we that's when I fell in love with you.
Yeah.
The Beckhams are no longer just a family. They've become a public battlefield. Brooklyn Beckham has never known a normal life. As the oldest son of David and Victoria Beckham, fame was his birthright and his burden. Cameras followed him from the day he was born, every move watched, every mistake magnified. But according to Brooklyn, that world of luxury slowly turned into a cage he couldn't escape. For years, whispers floated around about tension between Brooklyn, Nicola, and the Beckham clan, but everyone brushed it off as family stuff. Now it's clear, those whispers weren't rumors, they were warnings. Everything changed the moment Brooklyn dropped a multi-part post that left fans and insiders completely speechless. In it, he went straight for the heart of the Beckham empire, accusing his parents of controlling every part of his life, meddling in his marriage, and caring more about the image of brand Beckham than his actual happiness. The most shocking part? Brooklyn made it crystal clear that he's done. No apologies, no family dinners, no plans to make peace. That one post shattered the illusion of the perfect Beckham family forever. But to understand how things got this messy, we have to rewind to April 2022, the wedding that was supposed to seal their fairy tale love story in gold. Brooklyn and Nicola tied the knot at the Peltz family's stunning Palm Beach estate, surrounded by 500 elite guests, endless champagne, and every luxury imaginable. From the outside, it looked flawless, but behind the cameras, the cracks were already spreading fast. According to Brooklyn, the first big blow-up came from something as symbolic as the wedding dress. He says Victoria Beckham had promised to design Nicola's gown, but suddenly backed out just before the big day. Nicola ended up wearing Valentino instead, but Brooklyn claims that last-minute change caused major emotional chaos during what was meant to be the happiest time of their lives. What looked like a dream wedding was actually the start of a slow-motion family implosion. The Beckham side stayed totally silent, but it didn't take long for conflicting stories to start flying around, and suddenly everyone realized this wasn't just some family mix-up. It was a full-blown power struggle between two worlds, the Beckhams and the Peltzes. But nothing compares to the moment that would dominate headlines and gossip columns for months, the wedding dance.
During the reception, legendary singer Mark Anthony took the stage to perform what was supposed to be Brooklyn and Nicola's first dance, a beautiful, emotional moment they'd planned carefully. But according to Brooklyn, everything flipped in an instant. Instead of calling Nicola to the dance floor, Mark reportedly said, "Let's welcome the most beautiful woman in the room, Victoria." The crowd gasped, and Brooklyn says Nicola ran out of the room in tears. He claims Victoria then danced with him in front of hundreds of stunned guests while Nicola cried backstage. Brooklyn even says he was told to place his hands on his mother's hips, a move that left him mortified and completely lost for words. Guests describe the atmosphere as painfully awkward, with people whispering, frozen in disbelief at what they were witnessing. Brooklyn later said that moment ruined the entire memory of their wedding day, turning joy into pure embarrassment. It cut so deep that he and Nicola reportedly renewed their vows in private later on, just to reclaim that moment and leave the humiliation behind once and for all. For Brooklyn, this was never just about a dance, it was about what that moment represented. To him, it symbolized something way deeper: boundaries crossed, control taken too far, and parents who, in his words, refused to let him fully live his own life. That night wasn't just awkward, it was the breaking point. But as it turns out, the drama didn't stop at the wedding, it was only the beginning. In his explosive statement, Brooklyn claimed that before the wedding even happened, his parents had pressured him to sign documents that would have handed over rights to his own name. Imagine that, his very identity tied up in legal control. He says this move could have affected everything: his business ventures, his wife, and even their future kids. That's when Brooklyn decided to quietly change how the world saw him, rebranding himself as Brooklyn Peltz Beckham. And now that doesn't look like a trendy name combo at all. It looks like a declaration of independence, shouted loud and clear. He also dropped another bombshell, saying that love inside the Beckham family had started to feel conditional. According to Brooklyn, affection wasn't about real connection anymore. It was about performance. He claimed support depended on public appearances, smiling for cameras, posting brand-approved moments, and keeping the Beckham image spotless. Skip an event, miss a show, or stay silent online, and suddenly the warmth disappeared. Since going public, Brooklyn and Nicola haven't flinched once at the backlash. They're living their lives loudly, acting like the noise doesn't touch them one bit. Recently, the couple was spotted strolling through Malibu hand in hand, looking totally at ease, calm, affectionate, and completely in sync. Sources close to them say the two finally feel free. After years of bottled-up tension, getting everything out in the open was like dropping a massive emotional weight they'd been dragging behind them. Now, instead of hiding behind the perfect family image, they're living on their own terms, and they're not looking back.
At 26, Brooklyn seems determined to carve out a quieter, more authentic life far from the non-stop flash of the Beckham name. He's diving deep into his passion for food, creating his Cooking with Brooklyn series, launching his own Cloud 23 hot sauce line, and investing in lifestyle projects that stand on his own identity, not his family's fame. To him, this isn't rebellion, it's survival, a way to finally breathe outside the Beckham brand's shadow. Meanwhile, the silence from David and Victoria has been absolutely deafening. No interviews, no comments, not even a single post addressing the chaos. Insiders whisper that behind closed doors, the family is crushed, but carefully holding their tongues. They know that even one emotional reaction could send the drama spiraling out of control all over again. For now, the Beckhams are choosing silence, and that silence says everything. But that eerie silence from the Beckham camp hasn't stopped the fallout from spreading like wildfire. Reports say Brooklyn has completely cut digital ties, blocking his parents on social media and demanding that any communication go through legal channels only. That's how tense things have gotten. His younger siblings have stayed publicly neutral, but fans are watching every subtle move, song lyrics, cryptic captions, and perfectly timed posts, and it's only adding more fuel to the speculation about who's really siding with who. Behind all the gossip, though, there's a much deeper question hanging in the air. Is this just an emotional family fight, or is it something way bigger, something existential? For decades, the Beckham name has stood for unity, loyalty, and flawless family branding, the image of a global dynasty that could do no wrong.
But now that picture-perfect facade is cracking in real time, and we're only halfway through what's been exposed. This is where the story stops being just personal and turns into something massive, a public challenge to the empire itself. When Brooklyn accused his parents of putting Brand Beckham above actual family, he wasn't just airing dirty laundry, he was taking aim at the very foundation of one of the most tightly controlled celebrity legacies in the world. For over 25 years, the Beckhams have lived by a precise formula: talent, discipline, unity, and total command over their public image. But now, all that control seems to be slipping, and the world is watching every crack form, live and unfiltered. Every photo, every post, every public smile from the Beckhams always felt calculated. Nothing ever looked random. Every appearance seemed choreographed to perfection. It wasn't just a famous family, it was a brand, a dynasty, built to look untouchable. But then came Brooklyn's statement, and it blew a massive hole right through that polished fairy tale. According to Brooklyn, the pressure to protect that perfect image started early, way before he even understood what fame really meant. He says he grew up feeling constant anxiety, knowing that every single move he made wasn't just about him, it was about Brand Beckham. Every outfit, every decision, every friendship reflected on the entire family. For years, he tried to play the part. He modeled, tried photography, even gave acting a shot, but nothing ever seemed to fit. And the world didn't make it easy either. Critics slapped the Nepo baby label on him fast, and it stuck.
To outsiders, it looked like he was living a dream life of endless privilege. But to Brooklyn, it felt like he wasn't allowed to fail. Not even once. Not even privately. That pressure shaped everything, and it's why meeting Nicola Peltz changed his entire perspective. She wasn't part of the Beckham machine. Even with her own wealth and status, Nicola grew up in a world that, as she said, valued privacy, closeness, and independence over image. Brooklyn said that being with Nicola opened his eyes to a completely different kind of family life, one built on emotion, not appearances. Once he saw that, he couldn't unsee it, and there was no turning back. And that's where one of the most emotionally charged parts of his statement comes in, the part that had nothing to do with fame, money, or fashion. It was about something way deeper, something that cut straight to the heart of what it really means to be part of the Beckham legacy. It all came down to something no one expected: dogs. Brooklyn revealed that during the terrifying Los Angeles wildfires, Nicola had reached out to Victoria asking for help rehoming displaced animals. According to him, his mom flat out refused to get involved. And for many fans, that single detail hit even harder than the wedding chaos. This wasn't about pride or family politics. It was about heart, compassion, the kind of moment where empathy should have come naturally. Now, whether the situation was more complicated than Brooklyn described, no one really knows. But for him, it was another painful sign of emotional distance when what he really wanted was unity. That one story symbolized everything he felt had been missing: warmth, connection, and support when it mattered most. And that's exactly what's made this entire feud so divisive and emotional. There aren't any clear villains here, just two sides telling completely different versions of the same painful truth. Online, the reactions have been brutally split. Some fans stand fiercely behind Brooklyn, saying he's finally speaking his truth after years of living under pressure, constantly forced to protect an image that wasn't his. They see his honesty as raw, overdue, and maybe even brave. But others have rushed to defend David and Victoria, pointing out everything they've sacrificed: the opportunities, the protection, the years of public loyalty, and questioning whether Brooklyn went too far by airing private wounds for the world to see. And right in the center of it all stands Nicola, the lightning rod for all the drama. Critics claim she's isolating Brooklyn or pushing him away from his family, while her supporters argue she's being unfairly blamed just because she represents change. To them, she's not the problem. She's just the easy target when the real tension runs much deeper. Brooklyn has been crystal clear about one thing: Nicola doesn't control him. He's flat out denied that she's the reason behind the family divide.
In fact, he says the exact opposite, that stepping away from his parents finally gave him peace. To him, that distinction matters more than anything because it's about freedom, not rebellion. What makes this whole situation even messier is the timing. This isn't some impulsive outburst from a frustrated son. Brooklyn stayed silent for years, trying to handle everything privately. But according to him, the constant stream of family-approved media stories and subtle PR spins pushed him to a breaking point. He said once those narratives crossed the line, keeping quiet was no longer an option. So when he finally spoke, he meant every word, and the tone made it clear this wasn't a phase. It felt permanent, deliberate, chosen.
That declaration hit hard because it wasn't just about distance, it was about disconnection. For any parent, famous or not, hearing your child say they don't want reconciliation is heartbreaking. And the Beckhams aren't just any parents. Their entire public identity has been built on family unity. David Beckham has only addressed the drama indirectly, keeping his tone calm and controlled. He said something along the lines of, "Children must be allowed to make mistakes and learn from them." His restraint impressed some people. They saw wisdom in his calmness, but others thought it felt cold, like emotional detachment disguised as maturity. Victoria, meanwhile, has chosen total silence, and that silence speaks volumes. Many believe it's not strategy, it's pain. Insiders whisper that she's heartbroken by the idea she might be shut out of Brooklyn and Nicola's future children's lives. And for a woman who's built her world around image and family, that fear might be the most devastating part of all. What happens next is anyone's guess. Some crisis experts think time could ease the tension, that maybe, just maybe, emotions will settle and the spotlight will move on. They point to other high-profile family rifts that eventually found quiet resolution once the cameras turned away. But not everyone's convinced it'll be that simple, because when accusations this personal go public, there's no rewind button. No private dinner, no heartfelt phone call can erase what millions have already seen, shared, and dissected online. And that's the real heartbreak here. Not the wedding dance, not the designer drama, not even the brand damage. It's the fact that an entire family is learning in real time what happens when private pain becomes public history. Brooklyn and Nicola have chosen distance over damage control, fewer appearances, less spotlight, and more control over their own story. Meanwhile, David and Victoria are staying completely silent, maybe hoping that dignity will speak louder than denial. Now the world's watching, waiting, and wondering, is this really the end of a chapter or just the start of something that can't be undone? Because when a family built on unity and image fractures this publicly, those cracks don't fade overnight. Once that flawless picture breaks, what's left is raw and real, a family that's flawed, emotional, and painfully human. So what do you think? Will time heal the Beckham family divide, or is this the point of no return? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, subscribe for more wild celebrity breakdowns, and don't forget to share this video so everyone can join the conversation.